Hey guys, it's me, Aego here. Hi. Hello. I've always been reviewing tint products from Peripera, but today I'll be reviewing something a little different. Instead, I'll be showing you some eyeshadow palettes from Peripera. The products I have here with me today are Peripera's ink fitting color palettes. Recently, it seems that a lot of eyeshadow palettes being released as a multi-palettes rather than plain eyeshadow palettes. The products I'm gonna review today are also versatile multi-palettes that can be used on the eyes, cheeks, and also for contouring. What's really amazing is that it said that each palette has a scent, so let's get this review started. Peripera's ink fitting color palettes with the addition of their new entry come in a total of 4 palettes that can be used for the eyeshadow, blusher, shading, and eyebrow from warm tone to cool tone. Each palette contains a total of 10 colors with 8 eyeshadows on the top and 2 blushers on the bottom. The formulations of these palettes are high pigmented, high adhesion, and long-lasting with matte that applies cleanly without clumping, pearls and shimmers that apply clearly so you won't have to worry about the dryness, and blushers that apply transparently without having to worry about the powder flying around. It's said that they apply to the skin clumplessly and last long like watercolor with clear and clean application. With 10 colors per palette, a total of 4 palettes, so that's 40 colors. I really think that they can produce a variety of daily makeup from warm to cool tones. Are you curious of all what colors these palettes provide? Then I'll start the review with the first palette. The first Be My Chocolate palette is composed of coral and brown colors that reminds me of melted chocolate. It's a palette that is great for daily use, and I think people with warm tones will like this palette. The first shadow, Gold Spread, seems to be a glitter shadow with gold pearls in an orange-brown color. The second shadow, Floating Marshmallow, seems to be a glitter shadow with silver pearls in a light pink color. The third shadow, Butter Bread, seems to be a light apricot color matte shadow that is great to use as a base. The fourth shadow, Rose Brownie, seems to be a dry rose color matte shadow mixed in with a bit of brown. The fifth shadow, Red Bean Spread, seems to be a glitter shadow with reddish pearls on a slight red-orange base. The sixth shadow, Pecan Cocoa, seems to be a brown matte shadow mixed with a bit of orange. The seventh shadow, Cacao Seed, seems to be a grayish dark brown matte shadow that is great to use for eyebrows. The eighth shadow, Hazelnut Coffee, seems to be a glitter shadow with silver pearls and a bit of reddish brown. The first blusher, Apricot Chocolate, seems to be an apricot baby pink color. The second blusher, Grapefruit Chocolate, seems to be a color that feels a bit like scarlet. What really surprised me was that this number 1 Be My Chocolate palette had a chocolate scent. I didn't really expect that it'll have a scent, but I was really surprised after catching a whiff of it. All in all, I could also see that there were brown and red-brown colors when actually applied, so I think it'll be a great palette for those who like reddish-brown colors. Next is the second Little Crush Strawberry palette. This palette is composed of pink and brown colors that feels like there's a refreshing strawberry on top. Overall, there are bright pink colors, which seems to be a great palette for cool tones when just looking at it. The first shadow, Vanilla Danish, seems to be an apricot color matte shadow mixed with a bit of vanilla. The second shadow, Sugar Topping, seems to be a white and silver glitter shadow that feels like sugar. The third shadow, Love Topping, seems to be a glitter shadow with silver pearls on a light pink base. The fourth shadow, Rose Pie, seems to be a bright rose color matte shadow that feels a bit grayish. The fifth shadow, Cookie Crunch, seems to be a grayish dark brown shimmer shadow. The sixth shadow, Blushberry, seems to be a baby pink matte shadow with a bit of white. The seventh shadow, Pink Cookie, seems to be a glitter shadow with pink pearls on a grayish light brown base. The eighth shadow, Cocoa Powder, seems to be a grayish red-brown matte shadow. The first blusher, Baby Strawberry, seems to be a light baby pink color with a bit of white. I thought that the second blusher, Strawberry Fantasy, would be a strong bright pink color, but it appears to be just a bright cool pink color with a bit of shimmery silver pearls. This palette has a strawberry milk scent and seemed to have blended off grayish and white mixed into the colors. I didn't feel that the scent smelled like an artificial scent. Well, the strawberry milk scent itself is an artificial scent, but you know, it just didn't smell too artificial. And I thought that the second blusher would be too much for me, but after trying it out, I found it a bit suitable compared to my initial expectations. I thought that this palette would be great only for people with cool tones when just looking at it, but the brown tone colors applied nicer than I thought, so it also seemed to be good for people with warm tones as well. Next is the third All About Bread palette. This palette is composed of beige and brown colors that remind me of baked brown bread. It seems to be a good palette for both warm and cool tones with a great combinations of shades that don't go out of tone. The first shadow, Sugar Glitter, seems to be a glitter shadow with gold pearls on a beige base. The second shadow, Roasting Brown, seems to be a grayish brown matte shadow that is great as a shade color. The third shadow, Buttery Beige, seems to be a beige brown matte shadow that is great to use as a base. The fourth shadow, Berry Chocolate Brown, seems to be a glitter shadow with gold pearls on a brown color. The fifth shadow, Layering Brown, seems to be a very orangish brown matte shadow. The sixth shadow, I Want Red Brown, seems to be a glitter shadow with silver and pink pearls on a brown mixed with reddish color. The seventh shadow, Red Trout Glitter, seems to be a glitter shadow with gold pearl on a beige gold base. The eighth shadow, Salty Beige, seems to be a pinkish brown color matte shadow that is great to use as a base. The first blusher, Dry Peach Spread, seems to be a dry peach color with a slight shimmer pearls. The second blusher, Raspberry Spread, seems to be a deep red color. Personally, the scent of this palette is like that of milk tea rather than bread, and the color seems to have more reddish brown colors when actually applied. The colors seem warm like freshly baked bread, so it's a palette that is great to use for warm tones and also seems to be great for deep winter cool tones. Lastly, the new additional fourth Get Peach With Me palette. This palette is composed of coral and brown, which is a great color combinations that can be used daily. I think this palette is great for people with warm tones with its trendy toned down peach colors. The first shadow, Soft Beige, seems to be an ivory shimmer shadow that blends well with the skin tone. The second shadow, Living Peach, seems to be a peach coral matte shadow that have a lively vibe. The third shadow, Dried Peach, seems to be a beige matte shadow with dry peach color. The fourth shadow, Peach on Top, seems to be a deep orange brown matte shadow with a slight saturation. The fifth shadow, Peach Latte, seems to be a silver brown glitter shadow with gold and pink pearls. The sixth shadow, Very Dried Peach, seems to be a beige brown matte shadow with dried peachy pink color. The seventh shadow, Peach Twinkle, seems to be a coral wet glitter shadow with silver glitter and pink pearls. The eighth shadow, Peach Cocoa, seems to be a red brown matte pearl shadow with gold pearls. The first blusher, Mature Peach, seems to be a toned down peach beige color with pinkish tone. The second blusher, Dried Orange, seems to be a toned down slightly dried orange color. This palette has a peach scent, and when actually applied, it seems to be a collection of vibrant coral and dry peach colors. Since the colors have fresh and lively feeling, I think it's a great palette to use for people with warm tones, but I think it'll be especially great for warm spring tones. So I've briefly shown you all the colors of the 4 palettes simply because there were a lot of colors. Personally, as the first, third, and fourth palette have warm tone colors, it was very easy for me to use as I'm a warm tone person, but I had to be more careful when using the first palette with its grayish and whitish colors. But when looking at the brown colors, when mixed with the rest of the other colors, they appear to be able to create natural expression, so I think it'll be also great for those with warm tones who want to use cool tones. Also, as for the 2 blushers in each palette, personally I think by using the blusher on the left side as a base blusher and then topping the right blusher on top of them, it can create a very nice 2-tone blusher look. In addition, these colors seem to be also great to use as eyeshadows as well. I really liked all these palettes, but I especially liked the first, third, and fourth palette which have the warm tone colors. But one thing that I was sort of disappointed with was that they didn't include a very dark matte shadow that could be used as a liner. As I was trying out these palettes, I thought that wouldn't it be better if there was a matte shadow that would also be great to use as a liner? So yeah, that was sort of a letdown. And also these shadows also seem to have a bit of fallout, but not too much, and the colors applied lighter than the color shown. The glitters applied much more shimmerier than I expected, so to give you guys a tip when applying the glitters or shimmer shadows, you can produce a more vivid and shinier application when using a silicone brush or by spraying on a fixer on a brush before applying them on. So like this, I've shown you all the colors from each palette. Thank you for watching my video today. Don't forget to subscribe, press the like buttons, and please leave some comments for me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!